My name's David Bent and I live in Albury.
Did any other members of your family experience war in any way, go to war? Do you have a history?
Yeah, well, I do. Well, we went to Gallipoli in 1990 and found my great uncle's grave, for instance, at Gallipoli. He died on the 8th of August 1915 during what they called the Battle of the Neck.
What was it like to find your uncle's grave?
Awesome. The whole 640 acres of Gallipoli brings back some memories, but you just say, well, we were in Vietnam, how tough it was, then you go to Gallipoli and you say, God, we had it easy. I mean, 61,000 Australians died in the First World War of a population of less than 5 million. That's a generation gone. I never backed off the fact that I had volunteered. The government had made a decision. I was already in the military, I should go. I wasn't conscripted, I wasn't doing it against my will. My job was to be the counterpart, providing Western support, if you like, to the Vietnamese. They wanted access to the United States logistics, whether it be artillery or B-52 bombers, or a thing called basketball, which provided illumination all night so that they turned night into day. And the Vietnamese captain would request that down his line of communication, and I would approve it down our line. Communications home, well, in those days, all of a sudden we'd move from just letters to using a reel-to-reel tape home. So somewhere up in here is all these tapes that I sent Cheryl and she sent me, so you could actually talk to each other. A bit different to email and Skype and all that now. But so, you know, once a week or so I'd with my little microphone and tape-to-tape recorder, I'd do a tape and then mail it home, and then I'd get one back from her. Every now and again I'd get a parcel with my favourite biscuits in it and things like that.
So then what did it mean for you to be able to have that contact with Cheryl, was your fiancée at the time?
It was fabulous. It was fabulous to hear her voice and so on. Yeah, no, it was emotionally terrific.
Do you think you could tell us a little bit about the people you left behind?
My sister took it fairly hard, and Mum took it very hard. I haven't been told much more than that, other than how hard they took it. And given what I've seen from Afghanistan and everything else like that, Cheryl must have taken it very hard too. She's never commented on it or anything else like that, but here's your fiancé. And remembering that Vietnam was the TV news war. And I can't imagine what they felt every time they saw body bags and so on. By my actions, I caused people at home to have a very bad 12 months. My family broadly was certainly conservative. My brand think I did a fantastic thing volunteering. No, they've been terribly supportive of what I did. And once I got home, it was easier to be proud of me than if I had to come home another way. And one of the issues I think, personally, is you've got to have enough to do. Get yourself moving on something else, and then there's no memories. I never wore my medals for probably 15, 20 years. Right? I didn't pursue it. Well, it sounds trite. Once they've come home and they've got out of the military, get another life going. And that sounds awful to say it, but you can't live on what happened then. You made a decision, you do the job. You might have been doing it for the money because you believe it needed to be done, or for whatever reason you've done it, but don't live off it for the rest of your life.
What does your son know about your experience? Have you been quite open?
Not a lot. I've been open when he wants me to be, but no. He knows what I did, but no. And we don't talk about it. He knows what I did, and there's a couple of things about Vietnam that we've discussed, but not periodically. I never brought it up. Cheryl's still finding out things that I did because I never fronted up with it. She's seen me march on Anzac Day. I only started doing that about 10 years ago. The time in the army and the time in Vietnam gave me everything that I've got in terms of business ability and the way in which I went about my life in terms of business in particular. The army gave me a discipline and an ability to organise. I have no regrets over that at all.
What would you say to 24-year-old David? What would be, you're about to get on that plane, you're about to leave. And in hindsight, what is it that you'd say to that kid?
It's a fabulous question. Don't do it.
Really?
Because we attained nothing. I have absolutely no issue with what I did. None at all. I came home alive, that's a good reason. But in terms of, in retrospect, with what happened, we shouldn't have been there. That's the first time I've admitted that. We shouldn't have been there. Because we didn't finish the job. What a waste. 500 odd Australians, 50,000 Americans. There was a lot more North Vietnamese and Viet Cong killed than Americans, than Australians. No doubt. And a lot of civilian, what we call it these days, collateral damage. But the reality is the end result was not achieved. So the answer is no. Don't go, in retrospect. The military gave me a number of facets that helped me with my later life. My sorrow is the people that died for no reason. And I'm so worried that this will be the history of the Afghanistan war. Will be that we did it, we were there, we did our job, but we lost the political will, and what a waste of time. I got home on the 1st of, I went on the 1st of October, came home the 1st of October. We were getting married on the 7th of November, and I came home with malaria and dysentery, and I was in Heidelberg Repat Hospital for about 2 to 3 weeks. I went to Vietnam 18 stone, whatever that is. I came home 11. I was actually in hospital for about a week before I came home with dysentery and a bit of malaria. The wedding was wonderful. The fact was I was home and safe. That was all that mattered.
Didn't ever consider that he wasn't going to come home. Didn't consider it at all. But we used to hate the news broadcasts.
I said that.
Yeah, they were terrible. Just watching it was
Body
upsetting.
bags on the news and all that.
I don't remember body bags, but I remember not enjoying hearing the news. And that was before, you know, the news these days is plastered all over. It would be horrendous
It's very
these
graphic.
days for anyone who's got people.
What about our communication?
Oh, by tape, little tape recorder things and heaps of letters. I think I wrote nearly every day.
You did. I didn't.
Tape recorder. Well, you were pretty good.
Well, thanks for that. I never
The
you haven't
letters
told
were
me that
good.
before.
The letters were good.
The tapes were good though.
The tapes were good. Yeah, they were.
We had these two little machines, didn't we? That little tape to tape.
Yeah. I kept them for ages, but I haven't got them anymore. I don't think I've even got the letters anymore. I want to read all that romantic stuff.
There is still stuff in the camp.
I don't know that you were totally honest, though, in your letters about what you were going through. I really don't.
And we haven't talked about it much since.
You don't talk about it. No. No. Cameron, our son, often, not often, but occasionally says to David, "Did you kill anyone? Did you kill anyone?" But he never tells him. He never tells the truth. Or never. You just don't like talking about it, do you?
Well, there's no need to. There's no need to. I think the reality is that there's just no need to. That doesn't need to be said. I'm different. I have no trauma.
My name is actually Jacob, but the Canberra, the workers there, they thought that it's a silly name. Make John or Jack. I finished up with Jack. They showed us what to expect, a film, a short film, maybe 50 minutes, and I wouldn't believe. Big cities, big bridge, tall buildings. And I'll never forget a sheep station. So big, so many sheep, I never seen in my life. But what I liked, the show, the beach. A beach, I don't know where it was. Beautiful weather. People my age playing on the beach, some games, swimming, girls my age. I liked it. In Canberra, I worked with mostly Australian people there. There were a few Greeks and Italians then working in that area. I was liberated, I was 20. Mentally, I was still a 15-year-old boy. And I came here to Australia on my own. On top of that, I lost all my family in the Holocaust. We couldn't talk about it to our own children. I still trying to work out why. Is it because we didn't want them to be upset, or I will get upset? I can't point this out. But that's how it was with all the survivors. Today, they go to a school, the school counts, and I don't have to talk to my own children, but other people talk to them. It was in summer, I wore a short-sleeve shirt. They said, Grandma, what's that? What do you tell her, 4 or 5 years old? For some reason, I don't know why, I told him I had to say something. Oh, this is a telephone number I wrote down of a friend of mine. To him, it makes sense. He said, oh yes, some people I could see right on the head. It was a bit of a relief for me. But I had to tell him something. When I was liberated, I thought war is finished, no more wars. People learned from it. 50 million people died in the war. And I'm not talking Jews were 6 million, but altogether, including Germany, 50 million died. I hoped people learned something from it. No more wars. And look what's going on. This is my disappointment. What's going on in the world? Wherever there's a war here, there, they're killing itself. For what? This is my disappointment. We are human beings. No matter if you're black or white, or you're Jewish or Muslim or whatever.
My name's Graham Royce. I live in Albury, New South Wales. I'm retired these days. Got 3 kids, 6 grandkids. Play a fair bit of golf. I like riding my bike. I fell off last year and broke my shoulder, so I haven't done it for 12 months. But I'm just about to get back into it. I was the eldest of 5 children. We were a Catholic family. I went to a Catholic primary school. Went and joined an insurance company. Worked for an insurance company for 2 years. Then I got called up for national service. I think Middle Australia was just did whatever came along what they were told to do, as long as they weren't violently against it, sort of thing. They got on with their lives and just did whatever needed to be done. I had no problems with Vietnamese or the domino theory or anything else. You know, it was just that's the way the world was, and you get on with it. There's a few uni students and whatnot that are roaming around going crook and having meetings and marches and all that sort of thing. I just got a letter in the mail to say that it had been pulled out, and it didn't worry me at all. I wasn't worried about it. I'd been fairly independent for a while, and I wasn't sort of against going into the army. It was just something the country did, and you fit in with it. It's like paying taxes, you know. You got to do it. You got to do it. Puckapunyal was about changing the way you thought about things. It was about doing exactly what you were told, when you were told, no questions asked, just do it. So they sort of broke down your independence a little bit. There was nothing for blokes to be crying their beds at night, going off to sleep sort of thing, because they'd been picked on so badly during the day, you know. Well, we went through jungle training up in Queensland and all the rest of it, and it was probably the most miserable time of my life. We were out in the desert and it was freezing cold of a night and red hot of a daytime, and you didn't get enough to drink, and it was just all too bloody hard. But that's what the previous 9 months was all about, you know, just to do what you're told, and you did what you're told, and you slept on the ground, and it was a very miserable bloody time. We left from Adelaide by plane to Fremantle. We flew to Fremantle, and then got on the Melbourne. Took us across as a boat, so nobody saw us off. It was just march on the boat and off you go. There was no waving or streamers or anything else. It was just catch you later. Well, we lived in a 4-man tent. We had a bed and a little cabinet and a mosquito net, and that was basically it in your tent. I used to write home probably, or write maybe 2 letters a week. That was about all. There wasn't much to talk about, you know. What there was to talk about, you didn't really want to tell anybody anyway. So a lot of blokes hit the drink pretty hard when we got back to camp, because beer was, you know, today it'd probably be 10 cents a glass sort of thing. And you got all your cigarettes, so a lot of smokers, the cigarettes were just free. And that was how you amused yourself in camp. You lost all thought of privacy. There's no such thing as going to the toilet on your own or anything. There was a bloody great line of toilets, and everybody farted and stunk and all the rest of it, the same as everybody else did. And showers, just a big shed and all that sort of thing. So you became part of the group rather than part of the individual. So yeah, you were nervous for a while, and then somebody got sort of hurt or killed or whatever, and that sort of toughened you up a little bit, that you weren't going to give too much ground to anybody that wanted to have a go at you. It was just became real life. You weren't just practicing anymore. It was fair dinkum. And I think our first fatality was a bloke that we shot ourselves, because everybody's nervous and he came from the wrong direction. And friendly fire they call it, but it's not really very friendly. So that was the first bloke we had to come back to Australia and clean him up ourselves. It wasn't something I decided to do. I didn't decide to go out and have a bloody war with somebody. But you know, the media plays a big part in all this sort of thing. You see bodies on the TV, and you see all the riots in the street, not riots, but all the demonstrations with the uni students and all the rest of it. And they've got their photos of little kids with no clothes on and burnt and all this sort of thing. The shitty things really did happen over there, but it wasn't as though we were deliberately going out to do things to little kids, you know. We didn't do it to general people. It was people around in the jungle that were trying to do it to us, and we were doing it back to them. So just the way it was. Lorraine knew I was different when I came back, but I didn't talk about it much. Mum, I think, was a conscientious objector, if I could call her that. She thought I was out murdering babies and all the rest of it, all the bullshit that used to go through the papers and whatnot in Melbourne. And I think Mum agreed with all that sort of thing, so she never ever mentioned army to me at all. She didn't come make the plane when I came home. Dad came down and picked me up. And we just didn't talk about it. I stuck with too much. I still see them fairly regularly that went right through from Puckapunna right through Vietnam, the whole lot. And both of them had tried to kill themselves. I think the hardest part of the army was coming home and feeling like the world had passed you by. Like I went back to the office and I didn't know anybody. They'd all moved on to different jobs or been promoted to somewhere else or whatever. People had died in car accidents and so forth. Things were done a different way. I turned into an absolute loner, no doubt at all about that. I've got very few friends, but a lot of acquaintances. I don't know. That sort of sums it up. I've decided to be just me, and the rest of the world can keep an eye on me, but that's all they're going to do, sort of thing, you know. and I'll keep an eye on them.
On Anzac days, all the schools used to march on Anzac days, and the veterans we used to march. And there was always a good crowd from, well, not so much the First War, but the Second World War and Vietnam when it came on, and a few others like the Korean War and a few others. There were always sort of marches in it. Sometimes there weren't many, sometimes there were quite a few. And all the school children marched, so you never quite knew how many were there. And they just marched for the sake of, because they had to, they didn't have a choice. I'm Mary Tomlinson. I live in Corowa. I originally came from Elmore, off the farm of Elmore, which is where I would have grown up during the war. We weren't directly affected by the war because we were very self-sufficient. You know, we had our own meat, eggs, milk, cream, butter, all that sort of thing. But lots of people, like people in Bendigo, the cities, they were storing food because they felt that people could have been attacked in Australia, and they didn't know, but they were storing food and things were rationed, which didn't affect us at all, but it used to affect my grandparents because they lived in the city. So my family used to and other families used to take them, you know, milk and cream and butter and eggs and all those things that we produced ourselves. But the women of the district, they used to all knit socks. And when they needed socks, they quite often put something in the socks. They either put cigarettes or tobacco or matches or something in the socks when they set them off. And this was one of the ways they were helping. And they used to send parcels of fruitcake were the best ones to send because they lasted. And some sort of biscuits, like the Anzac biscuit or something like that, a biscuit that was fairly tough, or ginger nuts which they would have made, because everything was probably made in those days, not sort of bought.
Well, how important do you think it was that people felt like they were contributing? And
I think that was very important because they were so far away from the war that they just wanted to do something to help the local, particularly the local boys. They thought they would have been helping the local boys as well as the other boys.
Yeah.
And it seemed to be all boys at that stage. I mean, there were nurses who went. Every war's had nurses, but you never hear of them. But my aunt was a nurse, and she was in the army. There's this book called The White Coolies, I think. And these were the Australian nurses who were on a boat, and I think they got off the boat. They were being pushed back onto the boat.
Yeah.
And they all got shot in the back, so they went back. She would have known most of those girls because they either worked with her at Darwin or Alice Springs. And they were the ones who were bombed getting off the boat, and she should have been on it. But she had developed malaria. Mm-hmm. And so she didn't go, but most of her friends went, and only a couple survived. Tom lived at Korean. He was a farmer, and he was the eldest son of a family of 7. When he turned 17 or 18, 18 must have been when he turned 18, which was near the end of the war. That was when most of the boys were being called up, but a lot of farm boys, at least one boy from each farm was exempt. A lot of his neighbours were all being sent off to war. They were being conscripted off to war. And Tom's father was not well, and he was he hadn't been well for quite some time, so Tom was sort of taking over more and more of the farm. Mm-hmm. And he was tall. He was over 6 foot, and he would have been long and gangly at that stage. He was sort of tall. At 18, he would have been sort of, tall and skinny. And so he was one of the ones who didn't get conscripted because he was a farm exempt. His mother got a white feather, which was sent to lots of boys anonymously as a sign of a coward. Everybody knew what it meant, this is a sign of a coward, a white feather or a yellow flower. And the mothers who usually got it, they were the ones who didn't want to talk about it, but they'd heard that somebody got a yellow flower or a white feather.